Hi everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoy our shows, please like our videos and subscribe to our channel. And you can support us by clicking onto our website, ageoftruth.tv.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Age of Truth TV. I'm Lucas Alexander at Fælledparken in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's International Workers' Day, the 1st of May 2015, and we are here at the park to talk to members of the public and also politicians about how the general population of the world is influenced by the mainstream media and the press, especially during election time. I'm standing here with Charlotte RyØ Petersen from the information organization Mayday.
I think that the media have all the power, simply because they are the ones that interpret everything that's going on. So basically they put the data to the people and they give them the choices and they give them the conflicts and basically all the data. So it's all up to the media how they want to present everything, and especially when it's election time. Because in election times they need the people's attention even more. And when they have conflicts, and that's what we know from the press, they want conflicts. So that it's always a plus or a minus, yes and no. So we get these very undifferentiated viewpoints. Here's black, here's white, and we need to have this conflict. And that's not how the world looks. I mean, we have so many differences and differentiated viewpoints that we need to get out, and we don't.
So you think it's orchestrated from within and through the media?
Yes, it could be. But also I think the media looks down on the people because they think they cannot understand, or they cannot have so much to juggle around, that they just need very few basic viewpoints to choose between. So let's not make it too complicated, because we lose the people. It needs to go fast. All television has to do with going fast, zapping. Otherwise we lose them. They go to the next program and so on. So it's very simplified, I think.
So don't you think that the general population has a free will? I mean, a free choice?
Yes, they have a free choice, but they are limited, because what they are told is that you can only choose this or this, and maybe there's not even a choice put out for them. So it's not the people's intelligence that there's anything wrong with. It's the data that they are fed. Basically, that's what's wrong. So if you get a choice between A and A, I mean, what can you do? And that's the media's fault. And it's also partly, I think, they are in cooperation with the top, with the elite.
So who do you think the elite is?
Well, actually, it's quite a few people. And just recently there was an article in the daily newspaper called Information in Denmark. And or maybe it's a year ago, they had an article which said who was the elite. They are the royalties, they are the modern aristocracy, the top rich people. They are all in unions or in boards with each other. I think it's about between 50 and 100 people in Denmark alone. And of course they can decide a lot. Above them we have other structures, other layers, where you have people, and we know them because they meet in some of these assemblies that we know, Bilderberg groups and so on. And even though there isn't a set agenda, like you must do this, it's sort of simmering through the whole thing. This is where the world is going, and this is how we should look upon the world. And it simmers through, down to the politicians, into the parliament and so on. So they all get onto one agenda, basically, or maybe two, one for and one against. And as I said before, all the differences and the very nuanced viewpoints, they get lost.
So why do you think the media does not report very much on the political and financial globalization plan of implementing the New World Order?
I don't know, but I think that if they told people, they would be so informed and they would be They probably would protest or they would go against them, because we are 99%, they are 1%, and if they can keep us in the dark, so that there are a lot of things that we don't know about, and we all just concentrate on our own little lives, our small lives, how do I get a job, and how do I get tomorrow to become a good day, and so on, because I'm close to getting sacked or whatever. Then they can keep people in very small viewpoints, and they can keep people close to the ground, and they don't look up and see what's actually happening. And so they can rule, and they can take the riches, they can do with people what they want, and basically I think in the final end we all become more or less slave workers to feed the global elite, to just have more money, more gold, more power, and we will be left with choices that are not very many, very basic.
But a lot of world leaders have actually talked about the New World Order, even on television. And but do you think it's a bad thing? What do you actually think the New World Order is?
I think, well, we have known the New World Order, or wasn't it since 17 something, when a certain person that I don't remember, Adam Weishaupt, and the Illuminati talked about it. So it's actually not so new. But they keep calling it the New World Order. So I don't know what we should put into that. But it's a world order where just a few rule the many, without democracy, without all the data that they need actually to make intelligent choices and free choices. So we have, if we put in, for example, like they have in Germany now, there's a big wave, a big momentum towards direct democracy. And that could be maybe the solution to this whole idea that the very few, rule the many, in that if people get active in direct democracy, where they can vote and they can put new initiatives to the parliament, then I think we could maybe move towards a world where the people would have a much larger say, because basically the intention to make laws should come from the people, not from an elite or an aristocracy.
So do you think it actually matters to vote, whether it's for the how should we say, the Republicans or the Democrats or the right or the left?
No. As it is now, and that's also what we see, we can choose Thorning or we can choose Lykke for the Liberal Party, and there won't be much difference. Why is that? Because the EU is deciding most of the politics in the European Union. We are signing off more and more sovereignty to the European Union, and we have not much to say. So the elections is usually about hospitals or something very local, but the bigger views are totally lost because it's already decided upon. And recently I wrote in a newsletter that we're putting out about the Americans that have taken over, also that you could say that that's maybe the layer behind it. Where the Americans, they have the economy because they control all the banking system, with the paying system in Denmark, with nets, we have the paying system called nets, and they're controlling that. Google, that is a big provider of knowledge and data, but they choose what's going to be on the first page of Google, what's going to be on the other pages of Google, and if there's something they don't like, and they have already said that, if there's something they don't like or something that is too much against public opinion or the mainstream, what we want mainstream to mean, or to think, then they will not put it for people to see. They will put it, and how many people on Google look at page 2 or 3 or 4? They don't, So a lot of is controlled by American. So we have the EU controlling, which is a top layer that is totally without democracy, and then we have the Americans coming in, buying us up, you could say, corporate power coming into the society where they have the data, all the data. I think it's called CIC or SIC or some data company, where all the public data are controlled by those guys, and that's an American company. So
So it's not only the media, the press, you say that is controlled, but also the internet now, what information comes out on the internet, even though it is more, I mean, it's possible to actually have an independent media still on the internet, right?
Yes, it is. But you have to safeguard it. You have to be very much aware, because otherwise, just now they are they put surveillance on it a lot. I mean, they look at everything you do, they control, they monitor, they write down. They have these master computers in NSA that are basically recording everything that we do on our computers. So wouldn't it be a good idea maybe to find some other channels to communicate on? And if you listen to some of the programs that are run on Radio 24/7, Radio 24/7 that we have in Denmark, that's a Sunday program at 1 o'clock where they talk a lot about other ways of communicating and keeping the internet free and how we can safeguard ourselves. And I think it's time that we should do that. We should start to what you say, when when you write to somebody and you change you change what you write so that nobody can see it. What's it called? Encrypt. Yeah, you encrypt it. Yes, that's what I mean. So we should think of that. And the more people that encrypt, the better, because the people should be intransparent, not being able to look at or see through. The state, the government, they should be transparent. That's the way it is in a democracy. But the way we have it now is the other way around. That's a police state.
Why do you think it's so important for, let's just say, the people in power to have control, to see what everybody is doing?
Because if the people get all the knowledge, data, and they wake up, they would protest. Look at what is happening in Greece with Syriza and Podemos in Spain. They're taking things into their own hands, and they're shit scared of them, and they want to push them out of the good company, because they shouldn't be important. They shouldn't come to power. If they do, and the people start to decide, they also want direct democracy, then it's the end of the global power that they have, structure, yes.
You have this stand here, Stop TTIP. Please tell us what that is.
It is a new trade deal that is negotiated at the moment between the US and the EU. And it's a huge thing that will influence most of our lives, all levels of our lives. Consumer protection, workers protection, food safety, chemicals. It gives permission, for example, to big corporate companies that they can sue states or governments if they, for example, want to change the law about environment or a chemical that they think that should be prohibited because it's dangerous. They don't want that because they want to take away all trade barriers. So we should be able to trade freely across the Atlantic with the US, and they think that's the way out of the crisis, that's the way out of a lot of things. But all the economic evaluations that have come out say that it will mean almost nothing. There's so little to gain from it. But again, it will take power away from the people, and it will move power up the layers to an elite. And there will be something called a regulation cooperation. I think that's what it's called in English. I don't remember exactly. Regulation cooperate or something like that, cooperation. Where all the big corporate powers, they will sit around the table and negotiate when new laws are coming in. They are the first to be heard in connection with new laws. So if there's a law that, for example, goes against the profits of these companies, then they will have a say in outlining the new law, and then they can stop it. So yeah, they will get a lot of power.
So do you actually think it's a bad thing? Don't you think that there's something positive in that idea?
No. No, I think that trade is good, but why don't we come to the highest level of safety for the people, environment safety, of consumer safety and so on? Why do we have to go low? And it seems, as it looks now, that it will go to the lowest common denominator, and that's bad. And the European Parliament will vote on it sometime at the end of this year, and they cannot pick out things and say this is good and this is bad. It's a yes or a no to the whole pack, which might be 1,500 or 2,000 pages. So it's a huge thing that and we're not left with much to vote on also, because it's being negotiated behind closed doors, so we actually don't really know what's going on. And now and again there's a leaked document, and then we know, okay, now that this came out, and then we can demonstrate, go against it. So this is a signature. It's a European Citizens Initiative. I don't know if you know what that is, but in the last treaty that we have with the EU, the Lisbon Treaty, there was put in a paragraph saying that you could have, if 1 million signatures were gathered for a special cause, then you could have the EU Commission look at it. They weren't obligated to make a new law on it, but they could look at it, right? And so we filed a petition to try to get an okay to start such an ECI, a European Citizens Initiative, to gather 1 million signatures. And they said, no, you cannot. And then we said, all the organizations behind it, about 300 organizations, said they are not supposed to decide if we can make a signature collection. So we're going to do it anyway. And then at the same time, we will sue them. So now we are suing the EU Commission for saying no. Yeah. And that's running. The court case is running. And at the same time, we're gathering the 1 million signatures. And at the moment, we are on the way to 2 million signatures. Germany alone has 1 million signatures. UK has many more signatures than they need. And
so it's actually a global campaign.
It's a European campaign. But the US is not happy about this treaty either. They don't want that treaty. So there are many protests in the US as well.
So if people want to know more information about what this organization is, please tell us how they can find some more information. What is your website? And there's some information here that you are actually handing out.
Yes, we're handing out these two flyers. And on the back you can see the websites where you can read more about it. One is called stop-ttip.dk, and one is called just ttip.dk, and one is called stop-ttip.org. That's the international one, or the European one, where you can also see a map of all the signatures being gathered minute by minute. There's a number, it keeps going up, according to all the numbers coming in.
The signature kind.
Yeah, the signatures count from all over Europe. So it's a very good website. But these are the ones basically that I think you should look at. And also on this, which one is it? Stop-ttip.dk. There is an interview with a person working for Corporate Europe Observatory. And he knows a lot about the TTIP, the whole TTIP trade deal and what's coming. So there's a 20-minute interview with him that people can watch and get some more information.
Charlotte RyØ Petersen, thank you very much for joining us.
Actually, the reason why I became a politician is because that I could very easily feel that I could make a difference for my local community, and I'm sure that some people, they feel disattached from what politics is all about when it comes to national politics, because it's so far away from you sometimes. But when it comes to local politics, it's about your children, it's about your neighbor, and it's about your own world. It comes real.
So how much do you think the media, the press, is influencing our thoughts, our choices, and our opinions, especially up to an election?
Almost everything. The media, 50% of the people voting, they vote because of something they've been reading in a newspaper, seeing in TV.
Do you think that is truthful reporting by the media?
No.
No? And do you think that they have a political agenda in the way that they are, how should we say, presenting the news?
Yes.
So do the general population actually have what we call a democratic free will and a free choice, or are they indoctrinated by the media through politicians?
Indoctrinating is one word to use. Another word could be that they are being led into a truth or believing in a truth. I think that people should be more aware of why do media present the truth the way they do. They should be more critical to the way the media present the truth instead of just eating everything raw.
Is the media a propaganda machine in order to direct the population?
Media loves scandals, right? They love people falling. And who is the funny one to make fall, to push to a fall? That is the one in power. So I think that a lot of media, they go through, they are trying to go after the man and not the ball, if you can say it that way. It's not about the issue, it's about making sensations.
But if they want to make sensation, if the press really want to create a scandal story, why don't they report on things that really matter, such as things that are hidden from the general public, such as when the Bilderberg Group had their meeting last year in Denmark, and not a lot of reporting happened there. They just said it was a think tank, but none of the media was invited inside.
You should ask the media that question, not me. I'm a politician, but
the Bilderberg Group consists mainly of financial media moguls and also the bankers and of course many politicians.
Medias have interests. Someone owns the media. You know, who owns Politiken, who owns Jyllandsposten, who owns Berlingske Tidende, the biggest newspapers of Denmark. They have interests. Of course they do have interests. But there is a space between those interests and a journalism. The problem is that space have been more narrow and more narrow and more narrow during the probably last 30 years because money talks.
So why do you think that the media does not report very much on the political and financial globalization plan of implementing a new world order?
Probably because it does not interest their readers.
Don't you think it would interest the readers to talk about that the elite has a plan to implement a new world order, which supposedly is a one world government?
They would probably, if it could be explained in a way that they understand it.
So do you think that the general public is not so aware and that they are actually not very enlightened?
No, I think in general that the Danish people is actually very much aware of what is happening around them. But the thing is that the picture that are being presented to them media-wise is not very. It does not support action. It does not support that you are thinking about what is the truth here and what is up and down in this case. It presents one truth, and that is the truth that you happen to believe in, or that you very easily have to believe in, because normally there's not time for a discussion. There's not time for different points of view. It's a one-line story.
So, and that's the reason why you think they don't talk about the many world leaders have talked about it, that they want to implement a new world order. They've actually said it publicly.
I haven't heard about the thing you're talking about, New World. I don't know what you're talking about.
You haven't heard about it?
Nope.
And you're a politician. Thank you very much for this interview. That was great, and I wish you the best of luck at the City Council.
Thank you very much for watching Age of Truth TV. If you like our shows, you can support us by clicking onto our website www.ageoftruth.tv. And please hit the bell, subscribe to our channel, and like our videos. Your support is very necessary and greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.